Hi, my name is Laura Moss. I'm an alumna of Salute Your Shorts. They supported one of my early films, Friday. I'm here to interview Diana Chire about her film, A Living Sculpture. Diana, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background as a filmmaker.
So I'm from London, as you can probably tell, and I studied, I come from more of an art background. I studied fine art, and yeah, I kind of just used to make experimental, weird performance shorts, and I just really still am, but had just discovered at that point a lot of the 70s, 60s and 70s, revolution feminist artists, and I really loved Adrian Piper and Judy Chicago, and I just was really inspired by the issues of work that they made that was about female identity. And so yeah, that's kind of that's when I started working on moving image, basically.
Yeah. Great. And this is your second short or third? I was looking you up on IMDb.
Yeah, this is my first, I guess, narrative short. I did I did another one that was super experimental, but this is, I guess, my first narrative short that has a beginning, middle, and end. And yeah, I'm really proud of it. I'm excited for it to be in the festival.
Yeah. Can you talk about the film just a little bit for people who haven't seen it yet?
Yeah. So we're following Francesca, who is an artist, musician, and she's dating a painter. And she's sort of assessing the pros and cons of being with an artist. And the pros are that she's really inspired by him, and sort of they push each other to make really great work. But the cons are that he kind of puts her in the position of being a muse, and at first she's kind of into it, but after a while she finds it problematic, because it is very problematic. And yeah, we follow her journey without giving too much away. We sort of follow her journey, and her making a decision whether she wants to be with this guy or not.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel for me watching it, I'm so low level traumatized by being that muse before, that I was there's no pros, but there are pros, and you do. I think you thread that needle very nicely in the movie. Can I ask? So as you said, this is your first narrative short, and it certainly uses experimental styles of filmmaking. What was your process in writing it? Did you always know it was going to be narrative? Was that always your intention?
I kind of didn't really know I was gonna make a narrative film. I went to see, I watched this Picasso documentary basically, and then I learned about Dora Maar, who was his muse, and I was shocked, because I was I swear there's another artist. There's an artist called Dora Maar that I had had read about, and then I researched her, and she just had this insane body of work, and she had a retrospective at the Tate last year in London, and she's just this incredible artist. And the documentary was just talking about her being the crying woman, the painting of the crying woman that Picasso did, and I just kind of was this sucks. And just kind of thought it was crazy that this woman who just had this incredible body of work that no one people know about, that she was just reduced to being Picasso's inspiration. And I kind of was really angered by that, and then I just started looking at her work and researching the muse and the male gaze further. And yeah, I just started to write it. And I'm more visual. I'm very dyslexic, and sitting down for too long, I can go crazy. So there was just a lot of imagery that I really wanted to recreate. One of my favorite paintings, and it's super problematic, and I hate myself for loving it, but I love Manet's Olympia. So if anyone doesn't know it, it's she's this woman just lounging on a chair and she's like gazing into the camera, like really confrontational. And, you know, it was very controversial when that painting was like, it came out, I don't know, like the 1900s, it was like a controversial thing in Paris, but I really just like wanted to create that, but like with a black body. So yeah, it was like kind of all sorts of like things that just sort of drew me in, and I was like, actually this could be like a film, like I could make it into a narrative film.
Yeah. And I feel like the whole film is soaked in those visual references. It's just in really subtle ways. I don't have an art history background, but I didn't need one to sort of feel what everything you're talking about, even if I didn't understand it intellectually. Can you talk about working with your collaborators? Because, you know, when you're making a film, it can be so difficult to articulate a vision, and this film has a very clear style and vision. So were there struggles with that? Can you talk about your collaborators a little?
Yeah, I guess I'd never worked like in like making a film with like a crew. So like before, I'd always like kind of shot stuff with like my camera, my Canon camera. But I was like, you know, we needed, my producer was like, we need like a really great DOP. And I like met with like a couple of DOPs, and I just felt like they weren't really listening to me and they were kind of dismissive. And I was like, this really sucks. And my friend who's a filmmaker was like, this is just how it is. You've just got to get used to it. And then, yeah, I met our DOP, Matt, was like amazing and just like completely got it. And yeah, like it just like every day on set was just so exciting. I just felt like I was working with my friends, and it's such a stark contrast because when you're making art, you're just like in a cold studio by yourself and you're editing on your laptop. But like with this, I got to like work with like a really amazing editor called Coco. I got to like work with like a really cool like person who was doing all the lighting and just like had this like breadth of knowledge that I just like had never, like I don't have that knowledge. So it was just really great just working with a team instead of just like doing everything by yourself as like a solo artist.
Yeah, wow, I hear all that for sure. Like I feel like this is just the way it is. Film sets need to be abusive to function, is what everyone is told. And I think it's amazing that you just rejected that premise. You know, that's hard to do.
Yeah, I was just like, I mean, this is like this is the film that we're making. Like it's very triggering. Like, and I felt, yeah, it was like I felt gaslit when they were like, this is just the abuse that you have to tolerate. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Next.
Well, do you think that seeps into the filmmaking? I mean, it's an angry film, and I say that because I'm often told that my films are very angry films, so I mean it as a compliment. But you know, it's an angry film, and do you think that that in order to make a film that is angry without creating an abusive experience for your crew and your collaborators, it has to sort of like, I don't know, I guess I don't know what I'm asking. I feel like the intentionality of what you're trying to say seeped into your process of making it. You weren't going to make it in a way that harmed other people. And I feel like you can feel that in the film.
Yeah, I feel like when I told like the lead actress Savannah, when I spoke to her about her character and like this guy, she was like, oh, of course I can relate because I've dated this guy, and I was so upset by like, you know, this thing that just happened. And even just like when I spoke to any of my other friends and I'd asked them to read the script, they were all like, yeah, like this is a guy that we have dated. This is like an art fuckboy. So yeah, I think it's good that it's nice that like when people watch it, they're like, I can relate to this, and I was, you know, angry at this guy, and I've like, yeah. So it's good. It kind of it connected with the audience, which is what I wanted, and I wanted people to be like, yeah, I am a bit like angry at that guy, but without giving too much away. Once again, of the film, I really think that Francesca like handles it in like her own unique way.
She does. And can you talk a little bit about your experience working with the guy? Because one thing I noticed was he was not a cartoon villain. You know, he wasn't the center of the film. He's not centered, but at all points did I believe his performance, and I believed that he thought he was doing the right, you know, and I think that's important in a film like this, that you don't let the audience off the hook by making the antagonist too cartoonish. So tell me about that experience.
I mean, he's a really good friend of mine, and I just felt like he was in a relationship with somebody, and we were close enough friends for me to be like, hey, like this is not okay. And like, you know, when I was writing the script, I kind of was like, I really want to work with him. And I think I don't like, it's not always so black and white with like specific characters. Like, you know, you can be like you can do bad things, but like not, like you said, be like a cartoon villain. And I wanted him, like he's like in it like a lot, and like there's like these like dream sequences where he's like talking to her, but like I just wanted him to be like present, but also like not, like it's her story and it's about like her journey and like it's about her thoughts. And I just feel like so many films I watch, it's just never like that. It's always like the guy and he's like on a journey, and like the women are just like instrumental to like his story, and like he'll sleep with them and then like leave them. And you know, so I wanted him to be like around, and I didn't want him to be like this like evil horrible guy. I just felt like he could subtly just say things and give her like a look, and people would be like, oh, this guy.
Yeah, no, that's how I felt. I mean, yeah, it's hard to talk about this without giving it away, but I felt like he was just, you know, doing what he wanted to do, which we all would like the right to do, but we don't all have that, you know. So can I ask about you're a visual artist, or you've emerged as a visual artist. So my background is production design, actually. So that's how I made my living before directing. And I found it very difficult sometimes to leave a production designer alone when I was directing, because I was like, so I'm just curious about your process with your art director. Like, how did that work with you?
So yeah, my art director Alison, she was basically like, we're really good friends, and I would just like be on Instagram, or like I'd watch a film, or like I'd see something in a book and I'd just like take a photograph of it and I'll just like send it to her. And it was back in like, we were just like sending images like to each other back and forth like 6-7 months before we even like started shooting. So like we were working together, but like she really kind of did her thing and I didn't get involved because I mean, first of all, I was like, I'd never been on set like directing film with the cast and a crew, you know. So this was like really exciting. But you know, also it was like the first time, like again, that like I wasn't doing everything, you know, because like you said, when you're an artist, like you are the person who's like doing everything. And if you're lucky, you'll have like an assistant, a gallery will give you or whatever. But yeah, so she kind of just did her thing. And there were a couple of times like when we were shooting some stuff, I was like, oh, like, and I was like, no, this is not your job. This is not your job. But yeah, it was great collaborating with her, and she had all these amazing, incredible ideas that like really made the film. So it was great. I really love to work with her again. It was great working with a huge cast and crew once again.
Huge. Can I ask you the size? How big was the crew?
I mean, it wasn't like gigantic, but like it was like 25 people. And yeah, like I said, 25 compared to just one.
Yeah.
It was great. It was like, and yeah, just every day, just like I said, it was like working with like my best friends. It was so much fun.
Well, and so let me ask you about that. So the department heads were people that it seems like you already had a relationship with, mostly. So you had a rapport and a shorthand. The rest of the 20, you know, were they hired by those department heads, or how did you feel about the people you knew less well?
Well, so I like was really, before my producer came on, I was just like struggling because I just didn't like, I didn't really know what a gaffer did. We were shooting on film and I was like, I don't know how to like do, like I know how to shoot on my Super 8 camera, but we were shooting on Super 16 and I was like, I don't like, you know, there was a lot of stuff that it was very overwhelming. So, you know, and because you know, I'd worked more in art than film. So when my producer came on, he you know, suggest to some people, and like we sat down and met with them, and we just like clicked, you know. And there were sometimes people that, you know, that I, like I said, I'd met the DOP before, and it just like, it was bad. So yeah, it was great to just like work with like a cool crew.
That's great. Yeah, that's an anxiety I have as my crews get bigger, is like that I don't personally interview everybody before they come on my set, you know. And it's like, I think in some ways you have to trust your collaborators to also hire people that they trust and love, and that'll trickle, you know. Can I ask about the process of finishing and applying to festivals? Did you say this is your first narrative, which is different than the experimental film world. Mm-hmm. Did you approach kind of putting this film out in the world differently?
Well, I just was like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I've been to like a couple of film festivals, but every film has its own personality and style, and I guess it depends on each festival. So yeah, I actually didn't like submit the films myself. I worked with a company called Festival Formula, and they basically like get the film for you, and you give them the film, and then they do like a bespoke kind of like plan. So, and then they like submit to festivals for you that, you know, that they think would get in or not. I just remember like sitting down like at my laptop with like a list of like festivals before I started working with them, and I was like, I don't even know like which ones to like submit to, and they're, you know, it all adds up price wise. So I kind of really wanted to be specific. So Festival Formula really helped me with that, and they've introduced me to so many cool festivals, including Show Me Your Shorts, that have like really great films and stuff. So I've been lucky with that.
Yeah, that's great. I hear that. Like, it's overwhelming, the amount of festivals. It's also really divided. I feel like the, you know, North American market and then the European market are very different for shorts. And
they're very different. Yeah. I've got into like more American festivals, I've noticed, than like ones from like in my hometown. Like I haven't been any over there. But it's fine because I live in LA now. So.
Oh, you're in LA?
Yeah, I should have mentioned I live in LA now.
You were in the UK. Wow. Okay.
No, yeah, I moved. So yeah, I moved from London to LA last year, and like my husband is American. I had a baby, and then I was like, I'm so excited to like go out and like meet people in LA, and there's just been this pandemic, basically. So I've just quarantine. But yeah, I really like. I've pre-pandemic, I met some really cool like filmmakers and peers that I'm excited to hang out with post-pandemic.
Yeah, and I think there's a vibrant festival life to be had, like with the festivals moving partially online or all online. I mean, just this Q&A and the way that I think festivals are still trying to create community, even though we're stuck in our homes. And we, as a voyeur, I like to look inside other people's homes anyway. So it's kind of fun. Intimate. Cool. So where are you at in the festival life of this? Like, when did it start? And
so we started entering it into festivals beginning of this year. So I think I like that the festivals are online, just going back to what you said, because I kind of feel like whenever like I had been to like film festivals before, there's so much going on, and you just want to see your friend's film, or you know, want to see this other film, and there's a lot of networking and stuff. So it's kind of like difficult to see like you know, all the films. So like with the festivals being online now, I think it's good because I can just literally like have a cup of tea, like watch it on my laptop, you know, with, you know, my partner and stuff. So I'm into the festivals being online.
I think they're more accessible, you know. I mean, there's something really fun about being in a space with other filmmakers and you know, watching your block and seeing the other filmmakers in the block and hanging out at a party. But I mean, and that I miss, but I don't miss the fact that it's pretty elite. It's pretty exclusive, you know, especially the gatekeeping festivals.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice that they're available to the world. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said definitely. I agree with you. And yeah, I was going to say something else, but I've totally forgotten what it was.
Well, I was going to ask what you're working on now and if COVID has changed your plans, you know, as an artist, a visual artist, as a filmmaker, what's going on with you these days?
So I'm working on my feature film at the moment, and it's called Au revoir Mogadishu, and it's a coming of age story about semi-autobiographical about a girl who moves from Somalia to London. So I'm basically working on that at the moment. And I feel like it's so crazy because I was pregnant and I was really sick when I was pregnant. So I like was writing, but I couldn't because I was like vomiting all the time. And then I kind of was like, you know, feeling so anxious, like post pregnancy to like kind of go back into working and stuff. But I feel like the pandemic has kind of been a good thing for me. Not for the world, obviously, but it's just been good because I can actually just like work from home, like on my laptop. We can't go anywhere, we can't do anything, and I get to like hang out with my family. So it's been good. I've actually been getting more work done. I haven't been like, oh, maybe I'll go see this exhibition, or maybe I'll go to the cinema, you know, which I miss, of course. But yeah, it's been good for me, bad for the rest of the world.
I feel exactly the same way. I mean, you know, I mean, not uniformly good for me, but in terms of the filmmaking practice, I'm getting ready to do my first feature, and it just slowed it down. It slowed it down, and now the prep is really deeper than it would be when you're like hustling and trying to get it done by this date. You know, so I feel like the panic of trying to get a feature made has relaxed, and I think the work is going to be better for it, and I think that a lot of filmmakers feel that way. So that's interesting.